Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you so much for being a part of the Queen's Reflection. We don't take it for granted. If you have not subscribed, please consider subscribing and sharing the video if it has touched you and you know you have someone who it can actually minister to. Please feel free to share it. So this week we have been talking about being a unicorn, being different, because as we all know, a unicorn is different from all the other horses, all the other horses. It's colorful, it's bright, it has good vibe, and it just believes in itself. And through the night, I thought about this great woman. This great woman is called Ruth. You can take some time to go and read the story of Ruth in the Bible. It's actually a very short story, but has a lot of things you can learn from the woman called Ruth. And in a in summary, Ruth was Naomi's daughter-in-law. They were married two women into that family because Naomi had two sons, Ruth and Orpah. And when when Naomi lost his husband, he was left with his sons, who later married Ruth and Orpah. And then Naomi's sons later died. So Naomi was left with Orpah and Ruth. And after a while, Naomi advised her two daughter-in-laws to go on with their lives, to go, proceed, move, and leave her alone. Orpah first was hesitant, and then she decided to leave. But Ruth stood her ground and said she's not going anywhere. When Orpah had gone, Ruth reminded her again. When Orpah had gone, Naomi reminded her again, Ruth, what are you doing here? And that's the first point I saw pressure, because pressure is everywhere. You have pressure to actually do things like everybody else, but you have a choice to stand your ground. But Naomi, when she insisted to Ruth to go, Naomi stood her ground and said she is not going anywhere, and Naomi's people will be her people, and she will go wherever she goes, and she will not even be separated, to her, even through death. Let's stop there. Even through death. When Ruth lost her husband, she was still united to her family, her husband's family, through Naomi, and she never deserted Naomi. But she said that even through death, she will never desert Naomi. And for me personally, it is actually a bulb that has just lit up. Even death should not separate you from your mother-in-law. Leave alone your husband. Even death should not separate you from your mother-in-law. Let's stop there. Let's ponder over it. Back to Ruth. So Ruth, when she was told to go, she refused to go. She was just loyal. And later when you read the book of Ruth, you'll actually see Boaz, who became her husband, praising her because he said it was easier for Ruth to go and look for a younger husband, for someone else. But she stood by Naomi. She was loyal to her family, to her husband. How many of us, even through death, will be that loyal to our husbands and to our mother-in-laws? That's a question we really need to think about. And we see how she actually she became a unicorn through that. Another thing is, Ruth was very patient. First, she was patient with her mother-in-law. She was patient with her growth, because even when they left with Naomi, she worked in the fields for a very long time, and she waited upon God, and she was obedient. She listened to what her mother-in-law told her. In this time and age, we do not like listening, leave alone to our mother-in-laws, even to our mothers. We have that thing in our head where we think that because we are adults, we are not accountable to anyone. We do not have to be obedient. But we see through Ruth that she was very obedient to her mother-in-law. Actually, the funny thing in this whole book, there is nowhere that we get to learn about Ruth's mother. We only learn about her mother-in-law. And what I see from her is that when Ruth got married, Ruth made Naomi and her family. When Ruth got married, she left her parents and joined the new family, and it became her only family. And that's why she could not go anywhere else, because that's the family she knew. And I think that's what God expects of all of us, even when you get married, that you take up the new family God has given you and be loyal, be obedient, be faithful to them, and serve. Because we see her standing by her ground, which is what we are talking about this week, that she did not fall to pressure. She did not follow what Orpah did, because Orpah did what what the society expects you to do. The society expects you, and I have seen both sides. I have seen people who have lost their husbands very young in their marriage, and that was the end of the marriage. That was the end of the relationship with their in-laws. That was the end of everything. And I've also seen, this is an old couple who I later learned that this lady had lost her husband 30 years ago. To mean she had raised her children alone. And yet, this woman always walks with her in-laws. I really admire this woman, because for me, she is just a Ruth in her own way. And it would have been very easy for her to walk away, to take her children, to take care of her children on her own, but she stood by her husband's family, and they actually stood by her. Because remember also, when Ruth insisted that she's not going anywhere, Naomi realized that this woman is not going anywhere. And so they had to love each other, work together, be together. And that's what it takes when you put your foot down and you decide that I am not going anywhere. And so for me, it is so important to learn the traits of Ruth as the unicorn that she is, because we learned so much from Ruth. And another thing by the I learned from Ruth also is that Naomi, when she was telling them to go, she said, I do not have any more sons that you can marry. And even if I get married, you cannot wait for me to have sons and for them to grow up for you to marry them. To mean, Ruth stayed even if there was nothing in it for her. She stayed because of the love and genuineness that she had in her heart for her mother-in-law and for the family. And later we see that Ruth, and later we see that Ruth was really blessed. She got married to Boaz. Boaz bought land that belonged to the Ruth's family, and they actually gained back all they had. And I think what I love the most from the woman Ruth is Ruth gave birth to Jesse, who was King David's grandfather. To me, Ruth was King David's grandmother. I've never thought about it. Anyway, today is when I've actually realized Ruth was King David's grandmother. So in her, through the blessing that she had, through her mother-in-law, and through staying loyal to her mother-in-law, she gained a whole generation, and she had blessings in store for her. To mean, when you stand up and become the unicorn, there's a blessing waiting for you. There is a blessing waiting for you. All you need to do is stand up for what you believe in, be patient, be courageous to yourself, and God will surely bless you in the time to come. So do not be afraid to stand up do not be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. Do not be afraid to be a unicorn, just like Ruth, and enjoy the season. So that's it for today. See you again tomorrow for another day, another verse, and another life changed. Bye-bye.